Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'll also put the link down below in the description. I'm back with a replay of round 2 of a Modern League. I won round 1 against Hogak Bridgevine. So the opponent was on the play this time. Opening hand is keepable. We're going to want to draw lands. It kind of stinks that our only land in hand is Waterlogged Grove, since that's going to ping us. But we've got plenty of other lands in the deck that we can draw into. All right, Street Wraith. I'm thinking Grixis Death Shadow at this point. So there's an island. An excellent draw, really. Probably the best. Okay, Arid Mesa. Now maybe Mardu, I guess. Though, I have to say, in this round, I was a little bit perplexed, a little bit confused as to what I was playing against. Waterlogged Grove. I chose to pass here because, being a little bit unsure of what I'm playing against, I can always just flash in Trickster. The Lightning Bolt. And the opponent left up a lot of dangerous mana. Like if I just played a creature, it would probably have just gotten removed. So Lightning Bolt to the face actually seems pretty good in that spot for us. So, okay. Tassiger pretty much showed me that I was playing against Hollow One, which is kind of an ancient deck at this point. And it's really funny because Turn 3 Tassiger at a certain point against an empty board would seem quite threatening, but right now it just kind of seems like a joke. I mean, now that we've been dealing with Bridgevine and Neoform, Turn 3 Tassiger all day, like, bring it. Let's tap that guy down, take our AEther Vial up. Another Relic. Let's go ahead and see what we can draw off of Silvergill Adept. 3 Master of Waves is pretty funny. So I'm going to play the Lord, go down to 15, paying mana with that Waterlogged Grove, crack in with the Trickster. Now, Hollow One is a deck that does tend to hit its life total pretty hard with its lands. See a Goblin Lore. What did they hit? Okay, they get to play a Hollow One. And again, none of this is particularly scary. We're definitely ticking this AEther Vial up. Okay, 4th land is pretty nice. It's going to let me play out both of these relics and leave mana up to crack one of them. Can't really attack into that Hollow One. But again, nothing the opponent is doing here is very scary. Let's go ahead and chip away again at their graveyard. Not quite sure how they're going to choose to attack, because if they got in with everybody, I believe we have lethal here between 3/3 and 2 is 11. If we vial in a Master of Waves, that'll buff the Mutavault, so it'll be 4, 3, 3, and 2, so it'll be 12. All right, they get in like this, and with a massive army of elementals coming, I'm sort of fine just chumping with Silvergill here to protect my life total a little bit. We can definitely cycle one of these relics to try to, draw another card, get some more devotion. Drew into a Silvergill Adept, take the vial up to 4 here. And we'll go ahead and play the Silvergill Adept. Island is kind of cool, because we could play out the Trickster to get even more devotion. Okay, opponent starts with looting, pitching another looting, plays a Bloodghast. Chip away a little bit. I'm going to let them attack here, because with Master of Waves coming in through AEther Vial, we can flash in Trickster, turn off the Flamewake Phoenix's flying, and then block the Phoenix with Master of Waves. And then obviously we can block the big guys with a bunch of elementals. So I had revealed Master of Waves when I cast Silvergill Adept, because it should be pretty obvious already. Okay, I guess the opponent feels like they're backed into a corner here. They just attack with everybody. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to turn off flying, flash in Master of Waves, And then these are some pretty demoralizing blocks from the Hollow One player side of the table. Let's throw 3 guys in front of Thassa, 1 in front of Bloodghast, 2 in front of Hollow One, and then I've got massive overkill on the Crackback. So the opponent just had to scoop there. So this is a matchup that's really favorable for Merfolk. Trickster makes it pretty easy to survive with a high life total through the first few turns. And then on turn 4 or 5, if we can get a Master of Waves down, that typically is enough to get there. They do play some number of Collective Brutalities, which can deal with Master of Waves, and Fatal Push if a Revolt is turned on. But if they can't deal with him right away, then it's very easy, as you can see, to just destroy them with it. So let's go ahead and see how Game 2 went, and have a look at the sideboarding decisions. All right, I'm back for Game 2 against Hollow One. Let's have a look at the sideboard. So in this matchup, I take out all the Spreading Seas, and since I'm on the draw, I can afford to take out a land. Since it's a pretty aggressive matchup, I choose to trim a Waterlogged Grove to take less damage from that land, and often we won't have an opportunity to cycle it. So in this kind of a matchup, it can potentially just be a liability. So cutting all 4 Seas, since with Master of Waves we can just go much wider than them, and if we're not drawing Master of Waves, we're drawing Tricksters and Lords, which means that our creatures will eventually hopefully be bigger than theirs anyway. So trim the 4 Seas, trim 3 Benthic Biomancers, because we're going to want to always be using our mana, doing other things, not really adapting him, so he's not the most useful in this matchup. So 8 cards out, and then I would have brought in all 3 Echoing Truths. They're really great against Hollow Ones. Like if the opponent casts Goblin Lore and then slams 3 Hollow Ones, just bounce those back to the guy's hand and they could just sit there for the rest of the game. 3 Echoing Truths, 2 Dismembers, and what are the other cards going to be here? 2 Revokers, Dismembers. I'll probably figure it out as we go along. I'm kind of blanking right now, but I don't want to sit here staring at that for too long. Okay, so I brought in my mid-range kind of cards. I brought in Thassa and Kira's, or 1 Kira, 1 Thassa, something like that. So that hand didn't quite cut it, but this one looks quite nice. I've got Trickster to slow them down, a Master of Waves, as I was mentioning. That's like the main strategy. Slow them down and then slam Master of Waves. So I'm going to keep this hand and pitch the Mutavault. It's 1 land less that we have to cast Master of Waves, but we need our blue to be able to cast Trickster, and Echoing Truth, as I was mentioning, is quite strong. So I didn't want to pitch the Echoing Truth. Flameblade Adept is not particularly scary. Lands are fine in this spot because we do want to cast Master of Waves on time. Okay, Street Wraith, taking them down to 17. Faithless Looting, they're probably looking for that second land. I'm going to go ahead and cash in Force of Negation. I pitched Echoing Truth. If they are looking for a second land and we can keep them off of that, it could potentially be huge tempo-wise. So I picked my spot here and went to get rid of Faithless Looting. Note that it does exile the spell, so they're not going to be able to use it later. They did have a second land, unfortunately, so not getting as much value out of that force as I hoped to. But well played by the opponent. They follow up with Burning Inquiry, and it just makes my hand better. I think I pitched an island. An island got replaced by a second Trickster. Okay, Flameweak Phoenix, they don't have mana to pay for it. So they're getting in for 5 here, which is a healthy chunk, but now we can just put the brakes on with Tricksters. So just pass the turn, let the opponent cycle a whole bunch of stuff to make this Flameblade Adept gigantic. Burning Inquiry, potentially annoying. I can go ahead and just tap this guy down now. I don't want to lose both of my Tricksters. Okay, so Trickster, Master of Waves, and Silvergill, it was actually the same exact 3 cards left in my hand. Opponent's still with no Hollow Ones. So they play a second Flameblade Adept out. Okay, it's our turn 3. A lot of stuff has happened, so it doesn't really seem like it's still turn 3, but it is, and we did hit our 3rd land. I'm going to get in with this Trickster because even when we flash in another Trickster next turn, we can't block with this guy. So, since they have Menace. So play the 3rd land, pass the opponent, see if they can get these guys gigantic. Okay, they flash back the Faithless Looting, which is going to add 2 points of power to the Adepts. They get 2 Bloodghast in the yard. This is their turn 4, so they can play a land, and they do. And start of combat, I'm just going to tap down one of these guys and take 3 from the other one. So if we draw a land, we're going to immediately stabilize with Master of Waves. Okay, beautiful. Going to go for Master Waves right now. Opponent bolted one of my Tricksters in response, which is fine. That puts them empty-handed, and we're going to get 3 Elementals. We still got a Silvergill in hand. Things seem sort of okay here. Gonna get in with the Trickster. You can see it's 12 to 12. Opponent goes down to 10. Okay, they draw a hollow one, which it's actually a 5-drop, so they can't play it, so they just cycle it, which is going to pump the Flameblade Adepts. Opponent drew a card and goes for a Fatal Push on Master of Waves, which is a pretty massive punt because Revolt has not been turned on. None of their permanents have left the battlefield yet this turn, so they could have used this Fatal Push much better. It's possible they thought that they were just dead or something, so they were just, but I'm pretty sure it was a punt. And at that point, the opponent, I believe, just scooped. Yeah, sort of a shame scoop moment. What they should have done is gotten in with everybody. They had 1 card in hand, so if they got in for 8 here, Lightning Bolt would not put me dead, but Lightning Bolt could take me off of lethal. I have exactly 10 right now. The opponent is at 10. If they just point a bolt, or as it was, the Fatal Push at Trickster, then I would only have 8 to attack with. Even if I drew a Lord, I'd still only be getting in for 9. So if the opponent attacked with everybody, I thought quite a bit about, after the opponent scooped, about whether I would have blocked in this situation with the opponent sitting back on 1 card in hand. It's, it could very easily be a land or another hollow one or any useless card that is not going to prevent me from winning if they Alpha Strike here. So if I don't block and they don't have a removal spell, I just win the game. If they attack and I don't block, I go down to 4. And then if they do have a removal spell, they remove one of my creatures during combat if I go in for it with everybody, and then they have lethal on the crackback. So not blocking is kind of a sketchy proposition here. I think with the blockers that I have set up, I probably would have put 2 Master of Waves, a Master of Waves and an Elemental on 1 Adept, and then 2 Elementals on the other Adepts to get the Adepts off the table. Dealing with Bloodghasts is not really that scary because it would be a 3-turn clock. We would still have Master of Waves and Trickster on the board, and we're kind of, I think, with Silvergill sort of sitting okay. I didn't draw a card after that to see what would have come next. Anyhow, it was a pretty well-balanced position, and the opponent just gave it away by pointlessly wasting their Fatal Push. So I did get there 2-0 against Hollow One. At that point, I was 2-0 in the league, having beaten Hogak, Bridgevine, and Hollow One. So please leave your thoughts down below. Please check out my Patreon page. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And tune in for the next video where I'll be back with round 3 of this Modern League. I'll see you guys there. Thanks very much. Bye.